Bonjour tout le monde. Je suis prêt pour vos questions. I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Mr. Singh, CN is on strike, and the Conservatives and the Government of Alberta have asked for the House to be immediately recalled. Would you be in favor of recalling the House and subsequently your position on back-to-work legislation if that's necessary?
Yeah, I believe that the workers are entitled and have the right to be able to strike for their safety. Their concerns are very legitimate concerns around safety, and I believe that they should be able to express their concerns and negotiate freely, and they should not at all be forced back to work. There should be a free and open process. There should be fair negotiating, and the workers' concerns should be addressed.
But would you support the House at least being recalled early, so before December 5th? Because we still have to do a speech from the throne and a speaker election before we can even deal with potential back-to-work legislation.
So I'm firmly opposed to back-to-work legislation, and I'm firmly opposed to that being the reason to bring back the House. Bringing back the House early for putting forward important initiatives is something I would always support, but not if it's strictly to force workers who are legitimately raising concerns around their safety. That would not be a reason to force people back to work. En français? OK. Donc, ce que je pense que c'est le droit des syndicats, des travailleurs et des travailleuses de manifester, de faire les grèves. C'est tellement important qu'on protège ce droit. Donc, je suis contre les lois qui forcent les gens de retourner aux emplois. Je pense que c'est pas la façon de créer un milieu de travail ou une société juste et libre. Il faut défendre les droits des travailleurs et des travailleuses.
Même si ce sont,
One follow-up and then I'll come to you. Go ahead.
Même si
Oui.
Ça représente quelque chose qui pourrait être dommageable pour l'économie du pays.
Donc, dans ce cas, les travailleurs et travailleuses, ils font face à des conditions dangereuses et difficiles. Donc, il faut régler les conditions. Il faut donner une chance pour les travailleurs et les travailleuses de négocier dans le bon foi. Donc, ça, c'est ma priorité. On peut le régler sans avoir la législation. Donc, ça, c'est quelque chose que je pense qu'il faut faire.
You can not block the bill, but you can decline to give unanimous consent to speak second reading if a back-to-work bill is introduced. Would you give unanimous consent to allowing a back-to-work bill to quickly proceed to second reading and speed its passage?
On the first blush, no. We are opposed to back-to-work legislation, so we would not in any way speed that up. In fact, we would discourage that as a process. We want people to be able to negotiate freely without that type of pressure. These workers have serious concerns, and we've got to make sure they're able to express their concerns, negotiate freely, and actually, most importantly, solve the problem so that workers are not facing fatigue and other workplace safety issues.
Mr. Singh, you mentioned the grassy narrows and the appeal of the Human Rights Tribunal decision in your speech to the MPs. Are these two things that are on the table? I know you've got a list of things that are on the table that you, if they're not in the throne speech, you won't support the throne speech. Are these two of those items?
Well, we signaled three specific things that I want to see some commitments to, and one of those was ensuring that the government makes real clear commitments to universal pharmacare for all that's public and single payer, to make sure that there's some language that supports national dental care. We know that so many Canadians need it. And with respect to dropping the appeal, I put that out as something immediate. We don't need to hear that in the throne speech. We need to hear Mr. Trudeau immediately drop the appeal against Indigenous kids. These are kids that were underfunded, that as a result of underfunding to child welfare, we saw deaths, tragic loss of life that could have been avoided, and that's why I'm calling on the government to drop the appeal immediately. For clean drinking water, this is also something we want to see immediate action to commit to the treatment center in Grassy Narrows, but also across the country. We want to see real commitments to cleaning water so that no one in our country goes without clean drinking water.
How do you propose the Liberal government pay for these increases in spending that you're asking for? Your platform talked about things like corporate tax increases, but that was not part of the Liberal platform. So is it going to be larger deficits, or are you asking them to take on some of the corporate tax cuts that you propose?
We are absolutely calling on this government to make the richest and wealthiest corporations pay their fair share. They've not been doing that. There is widespread support. In fact, one of the most popular policy points we put out was that there is not fairness. Working class families, middle class families pay their fair share, but the richest Canadians, those at the very, very top, have access to all sorts of loopholes. They have massive wealth that's not being contributed fairly, and we're calling on the richest to be able to pay their fair share, and that would help pay for the programs and the services that Canadians need, like pharmacare and dental care, and to make sure that we clean drinking water and do all the important things that we need. There are better choices that this government can make, and there's also ways to increase revenue.
Donc, vous voudriez faire quoi? C'est pas clair dans ma tête. Faire payer les plus riches, ça veut dire quoi? Les entreprises? Quel taux d'impôt? Les particuliers? Pouvez-vous
Oui,
préciser un peu?
oui. Donc, pendant la campagne, on a donné quelques exemples où on peut augmenter le revenu. Un exemple, c'était une taxe spécifique sur la richesse. Les gens qui ont plus de 20 millions de dollars de richesse, ça, c'est une taxe qu'on proposait. En plus, on parle d'augmentation des impôts sur les grandes entreprises. En plus, pour les gens qui gagnent la plus d'argent, une augmentation aussi par rapport aux capital gains. On va changer la formule pour s'assurer qu'on augmente les revenus. Toutes nos mesures sont ciblées aux plus riches. Et c'est quelque chose qu'on peut faire.
C'était vos promesses de campagne, mais est-ce que c'est toutes des choses que vous voulez voir dans un premier budget Trudeau?
Ce que je veux voir, ce n'est pas nécessaire de faire toutes les choses en même temps, mais ce qu'il faut faire, c'est d'augmenter le revenu, en s'assurer que le plus riche paye le juste part. Donc cette idée, cette philosophie, on a plusieurs façons de le faire et j'exige le gouvernement de le faire. Yeah, I raised the measure of making the richest pay their fair share, and our specific plan that we put out was, one of those was a tax on those who have fortunes of over $20 million, a 1% tax, asking them to pay their fair share, something that could raise $70 billion in revenue over 10 years. So that's one of the measures that I pointed to specifically. In general, I left a letter that included our other measures, which include higher corporate tax rates on the wealthiest corporations, an increase in capital gains inclusion, and a host of other measures to increase our revenue so that the richest pay their fair share, not the middle class, not the lower class, not the working class, but those who have the wealth should be contributing their fair share so we pay for the services that people need.
So in that same vein, then, would you support the throne speech if back-to-work legislation is imposed on CN workers?
Well, we're very clear that we're opposed to back-to-work legislation. That is something I'm absolutely opposed to. I'm going to wait and see what the throne speech is all about. But for me, some of the things that I want to see are that there's a commitment to making life better for Canadians. Canadians are struggling, and there's some really specific areas that we want to see real commitments to make people's lives better. If I see those things, I'm willing to work together with Mr. Trudeau. But if I don't, then I've made it clear that I'm not going to be taken for granted, and our support should not be considered a given. We want to earn the respect of Canadians by delivering for them, and that's what Mr. Trudeau as Prime Minister has to do.
Today at the United Nations, Canada voted to support the right to self-determination for Palestine. And apparently this is the first time that Canada has done this since 2006, so going back to the Harper days. Can we get your thoughts on that?
They absolutely have that right. This is a United Nations protected right for everyone to have self-determination, something that we should support as those who believe in democracy and freedom. And that is a positive sign to support the right of any people, in particular Palestinians, but all people, to have the right to self-determination. That is an important right that is protected by the United Nations and something that, as Canadians, we all believe people have the right to do.
C'est la première fois qu'ils votent comme ça. Pour quelle raison, à votre avis, ça change aujourd'hui alors que c'était pas ça qu'on votait dans le passé?
Donc, je pense qu'il faut parler avec le gouvernement de savoir pourquoi ils ont pris cette décision maintenant, mais c'est clair que le droit d'autodétermination, c'est un droit fondamental, c'est un droit de la personne, et c'est quelque chose que je crois comme chef du parti néo-démocrate, comme défendeur des droits de la personne, c'est un droit fondamental et essentiel.
Si on reste au niveau international, il semble assez clair que demain, le premier ministre va nommer François-Philippe Champagne comme ministre des Affaires étrangères. Avoir une ministre des Affaires étrangères qui vient du Québec, ça change quoi, vous pensez, dans les relations?
Donc, je ne pense pas qu'il y a un changement avec la personne. Je veux voir un changement avec les politiques. Et ce qu'on a vu dans les années passées avec les accords pour le gouvernement n'était pas une priorité pour défendre les droits des travailleurs et travailleuses. Ils ont priorisé les droits ou les besoins des plus riches entreprises, et je veux que ça change. Donc pour moi, pour le ministre de n'importe quel sujet ou enjeu, il faut s'assurer que les gens, les travailleurs et travailleuses sont les priorités dans chaque décision qu'on prend.
Mr. Singh, would you?
In English, on Mr. Champagne.
Sure. For me, I mean, the changing of a particular person in a portfolio isn't my focus. I'm focused on the government changing the way they do things. And for the past 4 years, Mr. Trudeau and the Liberal government have shown again and again that they've prioritized the very richest with an agreement with the United States that allows rich pharmaceutical companies to make more profit, that weakens our supply management, that does not include clear enforceable protections for workers, that they've chosen to help the richest corporations instead of people, and I want that to change. So no matter who is in the ministry, I want the policies and the focus and, in fact, the priority of this government to change, and that's what I'm going to focus on in terms of pushing this government to do.
Mr. Singh, would you support a throne?
We'll do it, and we'll come right to you afterwards.
Est-ce que pensez la possible nomination de Jonathan Wilkinson, qui a déjà défendu Trans-Mountain par le passé comme ministre de l'Environnement? C'est une bonne nouvelle?
Donc, en général, ce que je peux dire encore, ce n'est pas pour moi une question de qui est dans une position. Pour moi, c'est une question de c'est quoi le changement de politique. Et ce que je veux voir, exactement, ce que je veux voir avec ce gouvernement, c'est un changement de politique concret pour avancer la défense de l'environnement. Ça veut dire des cibles plus audacieux, un mécanisme de imputabilité pour s'assurer qu'on réduit les émissions. Ça, c'est vraiment le but.
Non, je comprends, mais il vient de la Colombie-Britannique, qui a quand même défendu Trans-Mountain par le passé, qui est secrétaire parlementaire de Mme McKenna. Vous n'avez pas une opinion sur la possible nomination de M. Wilkinson?
Donc, pour moi, encore, ce n'est pas une question de la personne, parce que c'est une question du gouvernement et leur politique. S'ils changent les dossiers ou les ministres, ça ne change pas les politiques. Ce que je veux voir, c'est des actions concrètes, parce que ce qu'on a vu avec n'importe quel ministre, c'était un manque des actions concrètes pour vraiment faire face à la crise climatique. On a besoin d'arrêter les subventions pétrolières. C'est quelque chose qu'on peut faire. Donc, pour moi, ce n'est pas une question de qui est le ministre, c'est une question de est-ce que le gouvernement est prêt de prendre des actions concrètes pour sauver l'avenir de la jeunesse.
Mr. Singh,
I have a
would
question
you
here.
support?
Have you been given any indication from the Prime Minister or the Liberals that they are willing to work with you, or have they asked you for your support on any measures that they want?
Well, in the meeting I had with Prime Minister Trudeau, he seemed to be open to working together, and I left the meeting having some confidence that there was an openness to working together to deliver on some of the priorities that were identified throughout the campaign. Canadians made it clear they want to see real action on fighting the climate crisis. They made it clear that people are worried about the healthcare system, and I believe there's a wide consensus that supports a universal public pharmacare for all, and also looking at national dental care. We know that we need the wealthiest Canadians and corporations to pay their fair share. So there's a host of measures where there is some alignment that the government has suggested. I'm not holding my breath, but I'm ready to find ways to work together. Canadians sent us a message. They want this parliament to work. I want to make sure this parliament works for people, and I'm going to work hard to make sure that happens.
Mr. Singh, would you support?
One follow-up, and then I'll come to you.
Other indications besides that meeting, have there been back channels where there have been indications from the Liberals that they are willing to work with the NDPs?
So far, from what I can tell you, is that there's been an openness, and we'll test that to make sure that there's actually movement that makes people's lives better. So that's what we're going to fight for. That's what Canadians sent here to do. And the benefit of having New Democrats is we're going to push the Liberal government. We're going to push Prime Minister Trudeau to deliver for Canadians. That hasn't been the case in the past. There seems to be a preference of helping those at the very top. I want to change that, and I'm been given some confidence that there's an openness to do that.
Mr. Singh, would you support the throne speech if there's no mention of an updated government-sponsored UNDRIP bill?
That is a priority for me, to make sure that there is a government introduction of the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. I've heard from the Prime Minister in various times throughout the campaign that was a commitment of the government to do that. I'm going to make sure that happens. I'm going to fight and push to make sure that happens. So far, I have nothing to believe that they won't do it. in terms of the language that I've heard, but I know that they say nice things during campaign and need to be pushed to deliver. I'm going to push hard to make sure they deliver.
But does it need to be in the throne speech? I think that was the question.
Donc, pour moi encore, je vais voir ce qui est dans le discours, mais j'ai souligné quelques enjeux primordiaux ou fondamentaux ou essentiels que je veux voir, et on va voir ce qu'il dit dans le discours. Mais je veux dire, pour moi, ma focus, ce n'est pas de trouver une façon de faire tomber le gouvernement. Pour moi, mon focus, mon priorité, c'est de trouver une façon pour que le gouvernement puisse travailler pour les bénéfices des gens. Donc ça, c'est mon focus, et je suis prêt de prendre des actions concrètes pour pousser le gouvernement.
To go back to the issue of how to pay for these promises
Yep.
you're asking for, another option would be to run larger deficits than the Liberals promised in their platform. What would be your thoughts on the size of the deficit?
So for me, I mean, my problem with the Liberals' approach to the deficit is they've run high deficits, but they haven't delivered any significant new services that make people's lives better. They haven't significantly increased healthcare. They haven't put in place pharmacare. They've run deficits really to give billions of dollars away to the richest corporations. $14 billion commitment to the richest corporations in the fall economic statement, waiving and forgiving $6 billion of corporate loans. There's so many examples where the government has just run a deficit to help out the wealthiest, and that deficit hasn't really gone to help out Canadians. That's wrong. And I believe that if we're going to run a deficit, it should be, or if we're going to make decisions to invest in Canadians, it should be to make their lives better. It should be to make their lives more affordable. And that's not what I've seen by this government. But if there is an option to invest in people and a real program like pharmacare or dental care, that would be something I would support.
Sorry, so just so that I'm
Yep.
kind of going back to CN and the throne speech,
Yep.
you see them as two separate issues, and any action that the government could potentially take on CN would not influence how you would respond to the throne speech. Is that my understanding correct? I just want to be clear.
Yeah, well, I just don't know how the government's going to bring up the back-to-work legislation if that's where they go. I just want to make it clear I'm against that. I'm going to fight that. I'm going to vote against that. My party's going to vote against that. I don't know how they're going to frame that. I don't know how they're going to bring that forward. But I can tell you I'll be voting against any back-to-work legislation. Our party would fight it. We would not make it easy. We would not in any way support any motions that would in any way speed up that type of legislation. We're opposed to that.
And how does this...
One follow-up and then come to you.
And then how would you factor... The CN strike is largely affecting people in Western Canada, farmers, mining, natural resources. What do you say to Western Canadians who are already feeling very alienated from this government about how to deal with a major enterprise that is currently on strike?
Well, I would encourage CN to negotiate fairly with the workers to avoid the strike, to respond to their real concerns about their worker safety. The people in the West deserve good services. They deserve a CN line that's working effectively and safely. They deserve high-quality service. And the workers need to make sure that their working conditions are safe and that they're not being put into a dangerous situation that puts their lives in danger, their workers in danger, but also Canadians in danger. This is something very important. It's got to be managed in a way that is serious and responds to the worries that everyone has about safety and the economy. We can do that. The way we do that is not by interfering, but by encouraging a fair negotiation in good faith with the workers who have a legitimate concern and the employer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know you've been sort of reticent to pray for us like red lines for the throne.
Yeah. Or an orange line even.
Or whatever. But have you or your team to the Liberals and to Trudeau said, if you want our support, you have to do X? Has there been an issue that you put on the table that in that dark of a way?
What we've done is generally put out what we want to see. And that's going to signal to us an opening, whether or not this government's really serious about working with us. And we put it out really clearly. The Prime Minister knows our priorities that we laid out during the campaign. Those are things that continue to be our priorities. He, in the meeting, seemed to understand that and went through those priorities and showed where there was some common ground. I need to see that in action. And so the first step of that action is to include some of that language in the throne speech. But there's some of the things that can be done outside of the throne speech. Dropping the appeal, committing to doing things differently, to making sure that we have real legislation that directly improves the quality of life of Canadians. I want to see that, and that's what I'm looking to see.
Sur l'aide médicale à mourir, je me souviens plus très bien. Êtes-vous d'accord avec l'idée de l'élargir pour que ce soit plus uniquement disponible en fin de vie?
Oui. Donc, il y a eu une décision dans le Cour de justice qui dit que les critères sont trop restrictés, trop limités. Et je veux ouvrir la question pour comment on peut s'assurer que cette décision difficile est plus accessible. Et ça veut dire que les critères maintenant qui sont trop limités doivent être raffinés ou être plus relax.
Mais quelle est votre position sur l'idée de permettre des directives anticipées, par exemple, pour les gens avant qu'ils perdent leur capacité mentale, Alzheimer, etc. Puis,
Oui.
puis pour le permettre peut-être pour les personnes qui ne sont pas encore adultes, pour les adolescents, par exemple?
Donc, ces détails sont des questions difficiles pour la société, mais en général, mes valeurs sont, on a commencé dans un chemin de donner un accès à cette décision. Mais ce qui est clair, les critères pour cette décision sont trop limités. Donc, je suis ouvert aux discussions de les ouvrir. Je n'ai pas donné exactement c'était quoi mon plan, mais je suis ouvert au dire que pour beaucoup de monde qui veut prendre cette décision, à ce moment, c'est trop limité. Donc, il faut avoir un équilibre entre les protections de la société, mais à ce moment, les limites d'accès à cette décision sont trop limitées et il faut les ouvrir.
Une fois qu'on a dit ça, c'est quoi votre position sur comment l'élargir? C'est ça que j'essaie de comprendre.
Donc, la première étape, c'est de suivre la décision de la Cour de justice au Québec. Ils ont donné un encadrement de quelles sortes de changements sont importants. Je suis ouvert à avoir une conversation dans un comité, de parler de comment on peut les ouvrir, parler avec les experts dans ce domaine qui peuvent donner plus d'informations et nous guider de comment on peut les élargir, mais il faut le faire.
Mais des directives anticipées, de le permettre aux mineurs, vous ne savez pas trop ce que vous en pensez?
Oui, je pense que ce sont les enjeux où je pense que c'est important d'avoir le input, le feedback des gens qui sont des experts dans ce domaine pour savoir comment on peut équilibrer accès aux services et protection pour la société. Mais en général, il faut élargir ou ouvrir la conversation.
Est-ce qu'il faut enlever le critère de mort? Est-ce qu'il faut enlever le critère de mort raisonnablement prévisible?
Donc, les détails spécifiques, je pense qu'il faut avoir une conversation, mais en général, je peux dire qu'il faut les ouvrir. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Je sais, I didn't get to say the first time. J'ai pas eu la chance de dire bonjour.
OK, allô?
La première fois.
Allô?